If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section. Thank you. Okay, hi. I am trying this Powered by StreamYard platform. It claims that your local recordings will come out a lot clearer and there wouldn't be much interruptions or anything, especially during this time with the solar flares and stuff, affecting things like Bluetooth. I don't know if anyone's been experiencing that, but I have a Bluetooth speaker and it wasn't really working for my cell phone device. And luckily, I have an auxiliary cord and an auxiliary adapter to be able to use the speaker. And I've been recording videos locally on my laptop, and some of it will not all of it would break apart, but over the weekend I recorded some videos and I was doing vocal warm-ups and stuff, and it was like cutting off and stuff. So hopefully this will work very well. It offers 2 hours a month for free recordings. Since I already invested in another editing software, I canceled the subscription, so by next month I can purchase the StreamYard subscription, which will allow me unlimited recordings, and we'll see how that goes. And then the little logo there, little logo there, won't show up on there, but that's okay for now. We use what we have and make the best of it. So this episode that I'm recording will be me asking Gemini political questions, and let's dive into that. So I was curious because I was on Twitter and I saw a post showing a video of how things were in Iran before the 1979 Islamic. I'm checking if it's still recording here. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to pull out this window. I hate when it does that. Here we go. And I was not aware of the Islamic Revolution. I was aware of what TikTok was talking about during the times of women being, assaulted, uh, um, and other grotesque things due to not covering themselves. And I had the presumption that it had always been like that. I wasn't aware of the 1979 Islamic Revolution, so I wanted to verify if it was accurate. And I asked, was there a 1979 Islamic Revolution? And Gemini responded with, yes, there was a 1979 Islamic Revolution in Iran. It was a significant event that overthrew and I do apologize for any mispronunciations. If you do know how to pronounce these things correctly, I have no problem with you correcting me on that. Overthrew the Shah's monarchy. Mohammad Reza Pahlavi established the Islamic Republic of Iran, led by Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini, reshaped the geopolitical landscape of the Middle East. The revolution had a complex set of causes, but discontent with the Shah's rule, including rapid modernization, corruption, and repression, played a major role. The Islamic clergy, led by Khomeini, became a powerful voice for change. The revolution's effects continue to be felt today, both with Iran and internationally. I said, knowing this information, is the United States heading towards a Christian revolution? The United States heading towards a full blown Christian revolution is unlikely for several reasons. The Constitution. The First Amendment guarantees freedom of religion, preventing the establishment of a state religion. Religious diversity. The U.S. has a very diverse religious landscape. While Christianity is a major religion, there are significant populations of other faiths and non religious people. A Christian revolution wouldn't reflect the population as a whole. Legal system. The U.S. legal system is strong and upholds the Constitution. A large-scale revolution would likely face significant legal resistance. However, there is a rise in Christian nationalism, a movement that believes that the U.S. should be a Christian nation. This movement can influence politics and social issues, but it doesn't necessarily translate to a violent revolution. Here are some resources for further reading. Views of U.S. as a Christian nation, Christian nationalism and its meaning. It gave me a link, and the link says Pew Research Center, which is concerning. And then there is what is Christian nationalism and why it raises concerns about threats to democracy, PBS NewsHour. What about the right to abortion? Was that a part of the original amendment? That was my question to Gemini. And it says the right to abortion is not explicitly mentioned in any amendment to the U.S. Constitution. The landmark case that established a legal right to abortion was Roe versus Wade in 1973. In Roe versus Wade, the Supreme Court did not base the right to abortion on a single amendment. Instead, it found support in the Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment. This clause states that no state shall deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. The court interpreted liberty in the 14th Amendment to encompass a woman's right to make personal decisions about her body, including the decision to have an abortion. This right was not absolute, and the court allowed for some government regulation in the later stages of pregnancy. However, the recent case of Dobbs versus Jackson's Women's Health Organization in 2022 overturned Roe versus Wade. This means there's no longer a guaranteed federal right to abortion. Individual states now have the authority to regulate or ban abortion. And I said, can you explain to me what the Dobbs versus Jackson Women's Health Organization case? And I kind of asked it kind of weirdly. So it said, I'm still learning how to answer this question in the meantime. And then I said, sorry, what were the details of the case? Why did it occur? And then it was telling me, I can't tell you about the specifics of the case without more information. So it wasn't collaborating that I was asking about that previous thing. So I said the case I mentioned about above Gemini. And it says the lawsuit against Gemini involved two main allegations. And it talks about something completely different that I'll get back to. But I said, that's not the case we're speaking about. Let me copy and paste it. The Dobbs versus Jackson Women's Health Organization case. And Gemini responds, I apologize for the misunderstanding. You're correct. We were discussing the Dobbs versus Jackson's Women's Health Organization case. Here's a breakdown of that case. The case, Dobbs versus Jackson's Women's Health Organization in 2022. Why it occurred. The case centered around a challenge to a Mississippi law, the Gestational Age Act, which banned most abortions after 15 weeks of pregnancy, with exceptions for medical emergencies or fetal abnormalities. Jackson Women's Health Organization, the only licensed abortion facility in Mississippi, sued to challenge the law's constitutionality. They argued the law violated a woman's right to abortion established in Roe v. Wade in 1973 and Planned Parenthood v. Casey in 1992. The outcome. In a landmark decision, the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade and Planned Parenthood v. Casey. The court's majority argued the Constitution does not guarantee a right to abortion. This decision shifted the authority to regulate abortion to individual states. This case was highly controversial and had significant social and legal implications. I said, how much is a fetus developed at 15 weeks? I have a child, but I forgot about those details. Remind me, please. And it said, at 15 weeks, a fetus is going through a period of rapid development. Here's a breakdown of some key developments. Size. The fetus is about 4 inches, around 10 centimeters long, roughly the size of a pear. Organ systems. Major organ systems are all present and functioning in a basic way. Movement. The fetus can move its arms and legs, and though you likely won't feel it yet, sensory development, though you won't likely feel it. I said that incorrectly for a second. Sensory development. The ears are developing, and the fetus may be starting to hear sounds. Other developments. Taste buds are forming, and the fetus is swallowing amniotic fluid, which helps with digestion practice. It's completely normal to forget these details. Pregnancy is a whirlwind, and there's so much to learn and remember. I said, thank you, Gemini. Are the toes and fingers fully developed too? You're welcome. Yes. By 15 weeks of pregnancy, the fingers and toes of the fetus are indeed fully developed. This happens much earlier, around 9 to 12 weeks of pregnancy. At 15 weeks, the fingers and toes will be well defined and even have tiny fingernails and toenails starting to form, although they won't be visible yet. The fetus might even be able to move each finger separately and explore their surroundings with their tiny hands. So it's sharing what 15 weeks of pregnancy is like. Um, that's that's a fully developed being in there at 15 weeks. If the fingers are all developed, the fingernails are there, all the major organs are there. But I I'm not very sure, because there's some people that express that life doesn't, there's people that believe, I'm not going to express what my beliefs are, but what I am going to express is that they're the opinions of others and the views of others and questioning. And one of the things that I've heard some people say who are pro-abortion is explain that birth does not happen until first breath, that supposedly a baby is not fully a baby or a human until it's out of the body and it's took breath. Some people see it like the baby's fully, if the baby has the major organs working, it's able to breathe in the amniotic fluid and breathe it out. It's basically living in water. I see that because it's talking about like breathing in the amniotic fluid, like it's in water. So it's living in water. Wow, I just realized that. And at 15 weeks, its major organs are fully developed. Their fingernails are there. Their toenails is there. They're moving. Their fingers are moving around. They're at a size of a pear. So, you know, do what you please with that information that I just shared. I said, "Oh my, thank you for sharing this information with me." And Gemini says, "You're welcome. It's always nice to reminisce about those early stages of pregnancy. Is there anything else you'd like to know about fetal development, or perhaps you have questions about raising a child? I'm happy to help you in any way I can." I said, "Currently, I wanted to understand why people were so upset about the case, and I wanted to understand where my opinion is in this matter. Thank you so much. Can you also answer this question for me? Is it true that men get paid more than women?" Gemini responds, "Absolutely. The Dobbs versus Jackson's Women's Health Organization case was very controversial because it overturned Roe versus Wade, a previous Supreme Court decision that legalized abortion nationwide. Here's why people were upset. Supporters of abortion rights. This group argued that Roe versus Wade established a woman's right to bodily autonomy and access to safe and legal abortions. They felt overturning it restricted women's health care choices and could disproportionately impact low-income women who might not have the resources to travel to states where abortion remains legal. Opponents of abortion rights. This group believed abortion is morally wrong and represents the taking of human life. They felt Roe versus Wade placed undue restrictions on states' ability to regulate abortion. The decision sparked protests and debates across the country as it shifted the authority for abortion access to individual states. Where your opinion falls is a personal decision. There's a lot of information available to help you form an informed perspective. Here are some resources that might be helpful. It provided me with PlannedParenthood.org, the Guttmacher Institute. It's spelled GUTTMACHER.org, and the National Conference of State Legislatures, which is www.ncsl.org. Regarding your question about pay, yes, on average, men are still paid more than women. Here are some details. The gap statistics show women earn around 16% less than men on average. This translates to roughly 84 cents for every dollar a man earns. Factors. There are complex reasons for the gap, including the differences in job choices, negotiation styles, and potential discrimination. It's important to note that the gap narrows when you consider factors like job title, experience, education, and work and hours worked. Let me know if you'd like to explore the reasons behind the gender pay gap in more detail. Can you please share more about the gender pay gap in detail? Sure. The gender pay gap is a persistent issue with complex causes. Here's a deeper dive into why it exists. Factors contributing to the gap. Occupational segregation. Women tend to be concentrated in lower paying occupations like education, healthcare, and social services, while men dominate higher paying fields like construction, trades, and some areas of business. Motherhood penalty. Women who take time off for children or work part-time often face a setback in pay and career advancement opportunities. This can create a long-term impact on their earning potential. Negotiation styles. Studies suggest women may be less likely to negotiate salaries as aggressively as men. This can lead them to accept lower offers initially and potentially throughout their careers. Implicit bias. Unconscious biases against women in the workplace can influence hiring, promotion decisions, and salary offers. For instance, a manager might perceive a man as a better fit for a leadership role simply based on gender stereotypes. It's important to note these factors can intersect and create a bigger gap for certain demographics. Women of color, Black, Latina, and Native American women experience a wider pay gap compared to white men and white women. It's kind of interesting that Asian people were excluded in the answer. I'm not sure why. This is due to a combination of racial and gender bias. What's being done to close the gap? Pay transparency laws. Some states require companies to disclose salary ranges and job postings, helping to level the playing field during negotiations. Anti-discrimination legislation. Laws prohibiting pay discrimination based on gender are in place, but enforcement can be challenging. Company initiatives. Some companies are implementing policies to promote equal pay and address unconscious bias in the workplace. Additional resources are the National Partnership for Women and Families, which is nationalpartnership.org, which focuses on research and advocacy for workplace equity. The American Association of University Women, it's www.aauw.org, conducts research on the gender pay gap and offers resources for women in the workplace. By understanding the causes and potential solutions, we can work towards a future with equal pay for equal work. I asked, do these pay gaps exist in the higher paying jobs? For example, are men and women getting paid the same in the same trade jobs? Because it did mention that trade jobs are higher paying and men tend to dominate those industries. So I asked, are women and men getting paid the same in those trade jobs? And Gemini responded with, that's a very interesting question. And the answer is a bit nuanced. Here's what we know about the gender pay gap in higher paying jobs, particularly trade jobs. Smaller gap. Compared to the overall gender pay gap around 16%, some studies suggest the gap in trade jobs is smaller, potentially as low as 1 to 5%. Possible reasons. There are a couple of reasons why the gap might be smaller in trades. Unionization. Many trade jobs are unionized, and union contracts often dictate wages and benefits, reducing opportunities for employers to pay men and women differently from the same work. Performance-based pay. Trade jobs often involve clear performance metrics like completing a specific task or project. This focus on objective results can help reduce the influence of gender bias in pay decisions. Nuances to consider. It's important to note that even within trades, there can be disparities. Women in trade subfields. Women in trade jobs are often concentrated in subfields with lower average wages, such as cosmetology or hairstyling, compared to male-dominated fields like electrical or plumbing. Experience and overtime. Studies suggest that the smaller pay gap in trades might narrow even more as women gain experience. Let me put the brightness down on this. Okay. Studies suggest that the smaller pay gap in trades might narrow even more as women gain experience. However, women in trades might also be less likely to work overtime, which can affect overall earnings. Overall, the gender pay gap seems less pronounced in trade jobs compared to other sectors. However, there are still some subfields with lower representation and potential for bias to consider. Okay, I'm going to pause right here at 18 minutes, take a couple deep breaths, drink some juice, drink some water. Solar flares are occurring until tomorrow, the 13th. It's been a very challenging weekend, energetically wise, but we stay strong by meditating, breath work, mindfulness, creative expression. I haven't read over the weekend, but I will be reading these books as well for you guys. I feel like it's okay to share it as long as I'm not monetizing the videos. And some people might not know how to read, and some people might just want to hear it and might not be able to afford the audio version of it, and where it's provided for pay, which I'm okay with doing this currently, because I'm in the beginning stages of what I'm doing. And obviously we all want to make money, but I'm new at trying to make a business out of my interest. And I'm a curious person, so I like to learn about things, and also like creatively expressing myself. And I enjoy literature and art as well. It's just been a long while since I've delved deeply into literature, and I'm getting back to those things. And I feel like sharing it publicly through social media platforms helps me stay consistent with it and accountable, of course, of my process. So I'll be right back, and then we'll finish off this session. Thank you. I am back after doing a 31-minute, 40-second yoga session for beginners, as I have and recently continued my consistent daily practice of yoga, because when I committed to doing yoga daily, it made my body physically stronger. It wasn't so many aches and tension. And ever since I have been pregnant, my daughter will be 3 years old this year. She's still 2 years old at this point. So it's been 2 years since giving birth, and 9 months of pregnancy. Before that, I was not taking walks. I wasn't being physically active. I was staying inside more, afraid to go outside. The sun was too hot, like a lot of things. And I'm conscious now and understanding that it was due to not going outside as much, not being physically active as much. So I am very thankful that I am back to my daily practice of yoga, especially during these challenging times energetically for people. And astrology speaks on it. I shared it on my Twitter page. You can find my Twitter page at Maidali6666. 6666 is a number of completion. And I also posted, the number 6 is a number of completion, but I posted what the angel number message channeled by someone who identifies themselves as Joanne, Sacred Scribes. My phone's on Do Not Disturb, and it's kind of weird that I was able to get a text when it's on Do Not Disturb. It's the first post I put on my Twitter page explaining what the message is of angel number 666 that resonated with me. So let's continue on to this political questionnaire with Gemini. Let me take off my glasses. I'm not supposed to wear my glasses while looking at computer screens per doctor's order. So is the misunderstanding I didn't make no sense, but is the pay gap does the pay gap have to do with types of jobs, not gender? I asked that question so incorrectly. That's a partially correct understanding. The type of job a person has is definitely significant. As there's somebody mentally unstable that keeps like blowing up my phone, and they're trying to make it seem like I'm not mentally unstable, and it's a lot of gaslighting. And they even openly admitted that they're going to be like the Joker towards me, and there's someone with occult knowledge, and they practice Santeria and stuff like that, but they're not affecting me over here. I'm in my zone. All right. That's a partially correct understanding. The type of job a person has is definitely a significant factor in the gender pay gap, but it's not the whole picture. Here's a breakdown. Job type plays a big role. Occupational segregation. As you mentioned, men and women tend to gravitate towards different fields. Women are heavily concentrated in lower paying occupations like education and social services, while men dominate higher paying fields in the construction, trades, and some areas of business. This means a significant portion of the pay gap exists because of the types of jobs men and women hold on average. But gender can still play a role within job types. Unconscious bias. Even within the same job title or field, unconscious bias against women can influence pay decisions. For instance, a manager might subconsciously perceive a man as a better fit for a promotion or a raise based on stereotypes. Negotiation styles. Studies suggest women may be less likely to negotiate salaries as aggressively as men. This can lead them to accept lower offers initially and potentially throughout their careers. So it's a two-part issue. Job segregation, this is a major factor creating a gap because men and women are concentrated in different types of jobs with different pay scales and gender bias. Excuse me. Even within similar job types, bias can influence pay decisions and promotions for women. Here are some resources that explore this concept in more detail. The National Partnership for Women and Families, which can be found at nationalpartnership.org, focuses on research and advocacy for workplace equity, including the impact of job segregation. AAUW's Gender Pay Gap Statistics from the American Association of University Women provides data on the gender pay gap across different occupations. I said, why are jobs like social services and education paid less? And Gemini responded with, there are several reasons why jobs like social services and education tend to be lower paid compared to other fields. Public funding and nonprofits. Many social services and education jobs are funded through government budgets or by nonprofit organizations. These entities often have limited resources, leading to lower salary scales compared to for profit companies that might prioritize higher salaries to attract talent. Perceived value. These fields are traditionally seen as caring professions focused on helping others. Sometimes society doesn't value these roles as highly as those in the business world that generate profit, even though they are crucial to the well being of society. Unionization. Unionization rates. Social service and education professions have higher unionization rates compared to the private sector. While unions offer valuable benefits and job security, they may prioritize job security and benefits packages over maximizing salaries and negotiations. Supply and demand. There may be a larger pool of qualified candidates for social service and education jobs compared to some specialized fields in the private sector. This can lead to a situation where employers have more applicants to choose from, potentially keeping wages lower. Limited upward mobility. Some social service and education jobs might have limited pathways for advancement or significant salary increases later in a career compared to corporate structures with clear promotion tracks and higher salaries at senior levels. It's important to note that this complex issue and there are efforts to address the pay gap in these fields. Teacher unions and advocacy groups. Teacher unions and advocacy groups are lobbying for increased funding for education, which could translate to higher salaries for teachers and other educators. I believe in my state there was teachers in a part of my state that were protesting for more pay, and I think in my state is like, and it's a Democratic state. It's like not legal to do that, but they still did it, which if they're not getting paid livable wages, that is, I think that's okay to do that. People should be receiving livable wages, no matter what job they're working. Minimum wage increases. Minimum wage increases can have a positive impact on lower paid social service jobs. Nonprofit fundraising. Some nonprofit organizations are exploring innovative fundraising strategies to generate more resources for employee salaries. My question is, if what is it called? If minimum wage raises, does that mean that the other positions money gets raised? I'm going to be asking that later if I remember to. It's also worth mentioning that these jobs, and if you'd like to respond and the answer if I didn't come across it, please elaborate. It's also worth mentioning that these jobs, despite the lower pay, can be very rewarding and offer a sense of purpose by helping others. Wouldn't caring for this, I asked, wouldn't caring for the society create more opportunity and success for the corporations of our country, of America? And Gemini responds, you're absolutely right. There's a growing movement that argues that a focus on social well being and corporate responsibility can actually benefit businesses in the long run. Here's how caring for society can create more opportunities for corporation success. Stronger workforce. When a corporation invests in social causes and creates a positive work environment, it can attract and retain top talent. Employees who feel valued and supported by their company are more likely to be productive, engaged, and loyal. Improved customer loyalty. Consumers are increasingly drawn to companies with strong social responsibility practices. Studies show that a significant portion of customers are willing to pay more for products and services from brands that align with their values. Enhanced brand reputation. Positive social initiatives can enhance a company's brand reputation and public image. This good will It says this goodwill can create a positive feedback loop, attracting more customers and investors. Reduce risk and long term stability. Businesses that prioritize sustainability and social well being are often seen as less risky investments. This can lead to lower borrowing costs and more stable financial futures. Government incentives. Many governments offer tax breaks or incentives to companies engaged in socially responsible practices. This can provide a financial advantage for these corporations. Here are some examples of how corporations are integrating social responsibility into their strategies. Supporting environmental sustainability. Many companies are implementing eco-friendly practices and investing in renewable energy, which can reduce cost and attract environmentally conscious customers. Investing in community development. Corporations might partner with local organizations to address social issues like poverty or education. This can create a more skilled workforce and a more stable business environment. Focusing on diversity and inclusion. Companies that embrace diversity and inclusion create a wider talent pool and foster innovation. This can lead to competitive advantage in the marketplace. Of course, there can be challenges in implementing these strategies. Balancing social good with profitability requires careful planning and execution. However, the potential benefits for both corporations and society are significant. How are public schools doing currently in America? I asked. The state of public schools in America is a complex issue with areas of both concern and progress. Here's a breakdown of some key points. Challenges. Academic performance. Standardized test scores have shown declines in recent years, particularly due to the pandemic's disruptions. Teacher shortages. There's a nationwide shortage of qualified teachers, leading to larger class sizes and potentially less individualized attention for students. I remember when I was in high school, though, the testing scores were really low at that time too. So I think there's been a struggle with the education system long before COVID. Funding issues. Public schools are often struggle with limited funding, impacting resources, teacher salaries, and class sizes. I did go to a public school. Inequities. There are significant achievement gaps between different student demographics, raising concerns about unequal access to quality education. Positive developments. Increased focus on social emotional learning. Many schools are incorporating programs that address students' social and emotional needs alongside academics, fostering well-rounded development. Innovation in teaching methods. Educators are increasingly adopting new teaching methods that cater to diverse learning styles and technological advancements. Community partnerships. Schools are forging stronger partnership with community organizations to provide additional resources and support for students and families. Overall, the quality of public education in America varies depending on location, school, district, and socioeconomic factors. These are areas with significant challenges, while others are making strides in innovation and student success. Here are some resources to learn more. The National Center for Education Statistics, which is nces.ed.gov, provides data and reports on U.S. education. The Brookings Institution, www.brookings.edu, Edu publishes research and analysis on education policy issues. The Education Week, which is www.edweek.org, is a news website covering developments in education. What are the existing curriculums for schools? Are they outdated? Do they relate to current times needed skills? Existing curriculum in school, that's what I asked. Existing curriculums in schools across the United States vary depending on location, grade level, and even individual schools within a district. Here's a general overview. Typical core subjects, math, English, English language arts, science, and social studies form the foundation of most curriculums. Electives. Students often have the option to choose from electives in areas like foreign languages, arts, music, career, and technical education, CTE, and physical education. The question of outdated curriculums is a matter of ongoing debate. Here are some arguments for and against. Arguments for outdated curriculums. Focus on rote memorization and standardized tests. Critics argue some curriculums prioritize memorizing facts for tests over critical thinking, problem solving, and creativity, which are crucial skills in today's job market. Lack of emphasis on technology and innovation. The world is rapidly changing, and some curriculums might not adequately prepare students for jobs that utilize new technologies and require adaptability. Arguments against outdated curriculums. Standards provide a foundation. Standardized curriculums ensure all students receive a basic level of education in core subjects, regardless of location. Curriculums are constantly evolving. So, with the whole standardized curriculums ensure all students receive a basic level of education in core subjects, I think we should keep in mind the location of where we're teaching the youth, because there's certain locations that are where businesses exist. Like, for example, Silicon Valley back in the day was in a certain area of California. So like it would make sense to educate children to learn the adaptability of technology in those areas. You know what I mean? Like I think the core education should still be part of the curriculum, but I think we should be mindful of adding education that helps children with finding work locally. You know what I mean? Anyway, or starting doing their own business, whatever it may be. Curriculums are constantly evolving. Many states and school districts review and update their curriculums regularly to integrate new information and teaching methods. Also, we have to keep in mind with financial literacy, even if you work a job, a 9 to 5 at a very young age, and you're able to do compound interest and invest in stocks and invest in a Roth IRA, by the time you're like 30, you will have a good amount of money depending how much you're investing in. So I think that's something that we need to be more mindful about. Like, yes, it's cool to have your own business. That's obviously a good thing. But we should also understand that if we don't have the ability to do that where we're at, working a job to invest in yourself so that you are capable of doing that in the future, I think that that's where the focus should be at for people starting without that support. Here are some trends in curriculum development that aim to address these concerns. Focus on 21st century skills. Many curriculums now emphasize critical thinking, communication, collaboration, and problem solving skills deemed essential for success in the modern world. Integration of technology. Technology is increasingly used as a learning tool, allowing for personalized learning experiences and access to a wider range of information. Project-based learning. This approach encourages students to learn by doing, tackling real-world problems, and collaborating on projects. It's important to note that implementation can vary. Some schools may be at the forefront of adopting these trends, while others face challenges like limited resources or teacher training. Here are some resources to explore curriculum development in the United States: the National Curriculum Framework, which is ccsso.org, which outlines the potential learning goals for various grade levels, and the Association for Supervision and Curriculum Development, which is www.ascd.org, which provides resources and professional development for educators on curriculum design. I told Gemini, I remember being taught creative thinking and critical thinking in my state of Massachusetts when I was a kid. Is this still like that here in Massachusetts? And Gemini responded, you're right. Massachusetts has a history of emphasizing critical thinking and creative thinking in its curriculum. There's a good chance you were exposed to those skills as a child, and here are some information on the current state of affairs. Massachusetts curriculum frameworks. The Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, DESE, develops frameworks outlining learning goals for various subjects. These frameworks do emphasize critical thinking and creative thinking skills across disciplines. Critical thinking. The frameworks encourage students to analyze information, solve problems, and form reasoned arguments. Creative thinking. Students are encouraged to develop innovative ideas, explore possibilities, and express themselves creatively across subjects. Implementation. How these frameworks translate into classroom instruction can vary depending on the school district, individual schools, and even teachers' approaches. Some schools might have dedicated classes for these skills, while others might integrate them throughout the curriculum. Here are some resources to learn more about the Massachusetts curriculum frameworks, which is www.doe.mass.edu/framework dash the slash current.html. Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, www.doe.mass.edu. So while there might be variations in implementation, Massachusetts still prioritizes critical thinking and creative thinking in its curriculum frameworks, which is very true. That's what I really enjoyed about English classes. Even in math class, in geometry, we were encouraged to be artistic with drawing our geometry. So that was really fun for me as a kid. Do corporations, I asked Gemini, do corporations see no value in innovators and thinkers? And Gemini responds, absolutely not. Innovation and creative thinking are incredibly valuable to corporations. Here's why. Problem solving and new ideas. Innovators and thinkers can help companies solve complex problems, develop new products and services, and identify new market opportunities. In today's fast-paced business environment, the ability to adapt and innovate is crucial for staying ahead of the competition. Increase efficiency and productivity. Creative thinkers can help streamline processes, develop new technologies, and find more efficient ways to operate. This can lead to cost savings and increased productivity for the corporation. Improves brand image. Companies known for innovation and forward thinking attract a talented workforce and tend to have more positive brand image in the eyes of consumers. So, corporations do value innovators and thinkers. Here are some ways they try to attract and retain them. Innovation labs and research and development departments. Many companies invest in dedicated teams focused on research, development, and innovation. These departments often have flexible work environments and resources to encourage creativity and exploration of new ideas. Hackathons and innovation challenges. Companies might host hackathons or innovation challenges to crowdsource ideas from employees and external innovators. Culture of creativity. Some companies foster a culture of creativity by encouraging experimentation, providing opportunities for employee feedback, and rewarding innovative thinking. However, there can be challenges. Short-term focus. Publicly traded companies often face pressure to deliver short-term profits, which can lead to a focus on immediate results over long-term innovation projects. Risk aversion. Innovation can involve taking risks, and some companies might have a risk-averse culture that discourages employees from proposing new ideas. Overall, while corporations value innovation, it's not always easy to create an environment that consistently fosters and supports creative thinkers. So it would benefit corporations to invest in education. Gemini responds, you're absolutely right. There are many corporations that can benefit from investing in education, and it goes beyond just finding innovators and thinkers. Here's a breakdown of the potential benefits. Strong workforce. By supporting education initiatives, corporations can help create a more skilled and qualified workplace. This translates to a pool of potential employees who are better prepared to meet the company's needs, potentially reducing training costs and increasing productivity. Improved customer base. Investment in education can lead to a more educated and informed general population. This can benefit corporations by creating a larger pool of potential customers with a higher disposable income. Enhanced brand reputation. Corporations that support education initiatives are often seen favorably by the public. This positive brand image can attract customers, investors, and top talent. Innovation and problem solving. A well educated population is more likely to produce innovators and creative thinkers who can benefit the corporation directly or indirectly. Here are some specific ways corporations invest in education. Partnerships with schools. Corporations might partner with schools to provide resources, mentorship programs, or internship opportunities for students. Scholarships and grants. Companies may offer scholarships or grants to help students attend college or pursue specific educational programs. STEM education initiatives. Many corporations are particularly interested in supporting science, technology, engineering, and math. STEM. Education to develop a future workforce skilled in these critical areas. All right. Employee training and development. Corporations often invest in training and development programs for their current employees to help them upgrade their skills and stay competitive in the job market. Of course, there are also challenges to consider. Deciding which educational initiatives to support and measuring the return on investments ROI can be complex. However, the potential benefits for corporations and society as a whole are significant. Here are some resources to learn more about corporate investments in education. The Business Roundtable, which is www.businessroundtable.org, is an organization of CEOs of the major U.S. companies that advocates for investment in education. Chief Learning Officer Magazine, www.chieflearninggoofficer.com, covers trends in corporate training and development. So more corporations are more focused in supporting science, technology, engineering, and math, which would make sense. So if you are going to university, keep that in mind. I'm at 46 minutes in, and I'm going to end it here because that was the end of my interaction with Gemini on politics and education, because I was curious about that. I think there's a question I wanted to ask, but I am not remembering it. So if you watched the video and you remember what the question was that I was asking, leave it in the comment section whenever you come across the video, and then give us the answer by asking AI or doing another form of research. Yeah, that was wonderful. I really enjoyed reading all that information to you guys and asking those questions to actually understand more of what's going on with our country in the terms of pay gap, education, and religion, and abortion. So that was very interesting. Thank you for interacting with my content. I will see you guys in the next one. StreamYard allows 2 hours of recording in streaming a month. So by the time I'm recording this in May, but by the time you guys see this, it will be in June. So I'm going to have to invest in this StreamYard stuff, especially if it gives a good quality recording that it claims to. So yeah, I was gonna kill that little gnat. Here we go. Okay, shoot. Yeah, that was interesting. That was fun. So thank you for interacting with my content, and I will see you guys in the next one. And let me know if there's any other questions or anything that you'd like for me to research for you guys. See ya. Peace. Thank you for making it this far to the video. Please contact the email presented in the video for free peer support group. Thank you.